It is not by chance that you are watching this video right now. It is because at some point you've decided to take control of your life and shape it in a way that suits you best. This is a very powerful thing to do. It takes a lot of courage and self-awareness to acknowledge where you are in life, to accept it, and then start changing things bit by bit until you reach the destination you desire. You probably already know how hard it is to get here and how many obstacles you had to overcome. So I really hope you won't give up now. We live in a world that glorifies hustle culture. We admire people who work around the clock and sacrifice everything for their careers or businesses. But what if there is another way? What if we can find success without sacrificing our mental health and overall well-being? I want to show you that it is possible to enjoy your life and still be productive. I have discovered that the secret lies in making time for the things that matter most to us. When we start to realize that our time is limited, we begin to see how precious it is. And this realization can change our perspective on what we value in life. Instead of constantly chasing more and more, we learn to appreciate what we already have and focus on what truly matters to us. You might think that this means slowing down and doing less, but it's actually quite the opposite. When we free ourselves from the need to constantly strive for more, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. We can pursue our passions with abandon, knowing that we're not sacrificing our mental health or our relationships in the process. We can be more present in our lives, savoring each moment and appreciating all that we have. One of the biggest benefits of this mindset shift is that it allows us to be more intentional with our time. Rather than just going through the motions and letting life happen to us, we can take control of our schedules and make time for the things that matter most. This doesn't mean that we never have to work hard or make sacrifices, but it does mean that we can approach life with a sense of balance and perspective. We can remember that while success is important, it's not the only thing that matters. Our mental health, relationships, and overall well-being are just as important, if not more so. When we start to prioritize our time and energy, we become more discerning about the commitments we make. We say no to things that don't align with our values or that we simply don't have time for, and we make room for the things that are most important to us. Whether that's spending time with loved ones, pursuing our passions, or taking care of ourselves. This doesn't mean that we become selfish or that we put our own needs above everyone else's. It just means that we start to recognize our own worth and that we make sure to invest in ourselves and the things that matter most to us. One of the ways we can reclaim our time is by setting boundaries. This might mean setting aside specific blocks of time for important activities like self-care or spending time with loved ones. It might also mean learning to say no to requests from others without feeling guilty. By setting boundaries, we create space in our lives for the things that matter most, and we send a clear signal that we value our time and energy. Another way to make time for what matters most is to eliminate distractions. This might mean turning off notifications from non-essential apps or setting aside specific times of day to check email and social media rather than letting them constantly interrupt our workflow. By minimizing distractions, we can stay focused on the tasks that are most important to us and make the most of our time. But it's not just about being efficient with our time. It's also about being intentional with it. We want to make sure that we are re-spending our time on things that align with our values and that move us closer to the life we want to create. This might mean setting goals and creating a plan to achieve them, but it might also mean taking some time to reflect on what we really want out of life and what we're willing to let go of in order to make room for it. This isn't always easy, especially in a world that seems to be constantly pulling us in different directions. But when we make a conscious effort to reclaim our time and spend it on the things that matter most, we create a ripple effect in our lives. We become more focused, more intentional, and more fulfilled. It can be challenging to break away from the hustle culture mentality, especially when it feels like everyone around you is constantly striving for more. But when you start to see the negative impacts of this lifestyle on your mental health and overall well-being, it becomes clear that it's worth fighting for. Making time for what matters most isn't about slowing down or doing less. It's about shifting your perspective and prioritizing the things that truly matter. It's about finding success on your own terms, even if that means going against the grain. But why should you listen to me? You probably have many other options to choose from. That is true. However, in my opinion, Reclaiming your time is one of the most important things you can do if you want to live a life that you're really excited about. It's hard to make time for the things that matter when you're constantly feeling rushed and overwhelmed. But when you take control of your schedule and make time for what's important to you, everything else starts to fall into place. When you make time for your passions, you'll be more motivated and inspired. When you make time for your relationships, you'll feel more connected and supported. And when you make time for self-care, you'll feel better both physically and mentally. Making time for what matters most is essential to living a life that you're excited about. It's not about being more productive or accomplishing more. It's about living a life that's rich in meaning, connection, and joy. And here's the deal. You will never have enough time. There will always be more to do. So the trick is to learn to say no to the things that do unmatter, so that you can say yes to the things that do. As someone who has experienced the downsides of hustle culture firsthand, I can tell you that it's not worth it. The constant stress and pressure to do more can take a toll on your mental health and overall well-being. So here's my challenge to you. Make time for what matters most, even if it means going against the grain. Reclaim your time and live a life that you're excited about. If you feel like you're stuck in a rut and unfulfilled, it might be time to take a step back and evaluate how you're spending your time. Are you spending too much time on things that don't matter? Are you neglecting the things that are most important to you? The first step to making time for what matters most is to become more aware of how you're re-spending your time. Track your time for a few days and see where it's going. You might be surprised at how much time you're spending on things that aren't important to you. Once you have a better understanding of how you're spending your time, it's time to make some changes. Start by cutting back on the things that aren't important to you and making more time for the things that are. This might mean setting boundaries with work, cutting back on social media, or saying no to more social events. It's also important to make time for self-care. This is often the first thing to go when we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, but it's essential to our well-being. Make time for things like exercise, healthy eating, and getting enough sleep. I understand that this might not be easy. You might have obligations or responsibilities that make it difficult to make changes to how you spend your time. But it's important to remember that you're not alone. Many people struggle to make time for the things that matter most, and there are resources available to help you. Making time for what matters most is essential to living a life that you're excited about. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. I encourage you to take a close look at how you're spending your time and make some changes. Start small, but start now. You deserve it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more daily inspiration and motivation.